Watching babies and baby animals grow up together is an endearing sight to behold. The resulting scenarios are often incredibly cute and heartwarming, like the one where a baby cuddles with their cat as they drift off to sleep. However, a peculiar incident disrupted this peaceful scene. Frankie and Otto were a couple from the Netherlands who were completely in love with one another. They decided to get married to declare their love to the world. Their marriage was a happy one, and they were greatly enjoying the fact that they were able to be together for the rest of their lives. Their little family consisted of Otto, Frankie, and Frankie's cat Yaya. The feline was of the Ashera breed, a very expensive type of cat that can be worth over $125,000. But that didn't matter to Frankie. She was bought the cat by her father, who was a well-known art dealer, as a present for her birthday one year. Since then, Frankie has loved and cared for Yaya with her whole heart. But as with most couples, not long after the marriage, they felt like they were missing something from their little family. It was around this time that Frankie and Otto decided to have a baby. 9 months later, Frankie gave birth to an adorable baby boy who the couple decided to name Tom. At first, when the couple brought their baby back home, Yaya was a bit apprehensive of the new addition to the family. The feline was feeling a little bit left out, as Frankie and Otto were giving all of their attention to the new baby, meaning that they had much less time to shower the animal with affection as well. But instead of acting out, the cat decided to try and get to know Tom. The curious feline would go up to sniff the newborn to get a better understanding that this was his new brother now. Not too long after Tom had arrived home, and with very little prompting from his parents, the baby and the cat had soon created a strong bond. They could often be found napping together, and as the months went by and Tom started to learn how to crawl, the two would start to play games with one another. But one day, Tom's world was turned upside down. It had started off like any normal day. Tom was around 7 months old and was enjoying time with Yaya. The feline and the baby had come to love each other like brothers and like to spend as much time as they could with one another, no matter what they were doing. Tom's mother, Frankie, was just getting back into work, having been on maternity leave for 6 months, and so every Monday and Tuesday she would have an online meeting for work. During one particular Monday, as Frankie sat in her office working, Tom and Yaya were playing in the garden outside. They were playing a new game that Tom had come up with, and it had quickly become one of his favorites. The baby would crawl around behind the cat and try to catch him. The feline, however, would stay just out of reach, as if teasing the young baby. The two would play like this for hours before Tom would start to get tired. Having finished with her meeting, Frankie realized that her baby was starting to look a little bit tired. She collected Tom from the garden and took him into the living room, with Yaya following right behind them. After giving the baby some lunch, Frankie settled him on the sofa for an afternoon nap. Like usual, the feline quickly jumped up next to the baby and settled down as well. It wasn't long before both Tom and Yaya had fallen asleep together, seeing that both of her favorite little boys were happy and safe. Frankie returned to her office, where she had a mountain of paperwork to get through. Everything was peaceful and Frankie couldn't have been happier, but things were about to take a turn for the worse. Whilst Frankie was working, Yaya was disturbed from his slumber by a shadow moving in the garden, a bit concerned about what it could be, as it seemed too large to be a normal bird. The feline tried to get a better look at the garden from the living room window. However, due to how the sun was positioned in the sky, he couldn't see much, thinking nothing of it. The cat went back to his position on the sofa, content to sleep a little bit longer. Frankie would go into the living room to check on Tom and Yaya every now and then. It was during one of those times, however, that she noticed something strange. Yaya wasn't cuddled up on the sofa next to Tom, thinking that the cat might have wandered off to get a drink or something. Frankie went back to work unconcerned. What she couldn't have known, though, was that Yaya wasn't even in the house. The young feline had awoken to find himself in a cage of some sort. He was disoriented and called out for help, but all he received instead was a shake of the cage that he was in. He looked out of his cage to see that he was being transported down what looked like his neighborhood street. It seemed that someone had snuck into Frankie's home and stolen the cat. Obviously, knowing how expensive its breed was and with a plan to sell it to make money for themselves, Yaya was quickly placed into the trunk of a car and his world went completely black, Meanwhile, Tom had recently awoken from his nap only to find that Yaya wasn't with him. The young baby started crying, alerting Frankie to the fact that he was awake for the rest of the evening. Yaya was absent from the house. But it seemed that only Tom noticed. The next morning, the baby began to investigate the cat's disappearance. He looked all around the house, peeking under furniture and babbling in his baby talk, as if calling for his lost feline brother. But Yaya was nowhere to be found. Soon enough, Otto and Frankie started to notice the missing cat as well. They had never seen Tom once without Yaya for as long as they could remember. That was when Otto and Frankie remembered how highly sought after Yaya's breed of cat was due to how much they sold for. They began to worry that maybe someone had taken their little furry friend. Later that afternoon, Tom was crawling in the garden whilst Otto and Frankie watched over him. As the little baby searched around, he came across an unusual piece of paper. He picked it up and started looking at it. His parents noticed his strange behavior and walked over to see what he had found. In the baby's hand was a piece of paper with an address on it. Confused at first, Tom's parents soon came to think that maybe the address had something to do with Yaya's disappearance. The baby started crying as he wanted the paper back, so Otto handed it back to him. Tom started messing around with the object again, and at one point he held it up to the sun. This was the final piece of the clue that the parents needed in order to find their cat. Faintly outlined by the sun's rays was a watermark of a local shop. Immediately after discovering this, Frankie and Otto alerted the authorities to what they suspected was a kidnapping, but they couldn't have begun to know just how big the operation was. The police responded to the call and managed to obtain a warrant to carry out a raid on the shop, which was where Yaya was suspected to be. Upon entering the building, the authorities discovered a room brimming with valuable breeds of cats that had been pilfered from their rightful owners. Fortunately, Yaya was one of the cats found, safe and sound. His family was ecstatic to have him back home, showering him with love and affection, a testament to just how grateful Frankie, Otto, and even Tom were that their furry friend was recovered. From that day on, Tom and his parents kept a watchful eye on Yaya to prevent any future scares. The baby and the cat remained inseparable, growing up together and forming a bond akin to brotherhood. Thanks to the police's diligent efforts, the cat thief was caught, and all the felines were reunited with their original owners, who were elated to be reunited with their cherished pets. The little boy's actions were truly remarkable. We hope this heartwarming animal tale resonated with you. If you enjoyed it, please show your support by giving us a thumbs up and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with our latest content. Thank you for tuning in.